What's up, guys? Welcome back. We are shooting another bullet into the mini Schnauzer before this thing closes because it is well on its way to closing. $3 entry, 37,200 entrants, 100K prize pool, 10K to first place, and half point PPR, start 3 wide receivers, standard best ball fare on this platform known as Underdog. If we get McCaffrey here, maybe we just take him because I'm so underweight on him because I keep taking Amon-Ra ahead of him. And we are talking about the best running back in football last year. Although after the Pearsall news, I don't know if that makes things better for McCaffrey or worse. The injury issues continue to plague that offense, and it's pretty wild. So you know what? I think Amon-Ra is a better click here. I do. I'm going to take McCaffrey. Again, I'm so underweighted him. I at least want him in one of these drafts, and we're going to go from there. It did occur to me as I sit here jamming my, I don't know, sixth one of this in a row, that if you're watching these day to day, you say, hey, this dude just wears a black t-shirt every day. Nope. I jammed all of these in the same afternoon. So, there's that. Onward we go. McCaffrey, St. Brown. All right, so Gibbs, Robinson, Chase, Nakua, and Smith and Jigba is chisels in stone. It is the commandment of the first 5 rounds. It hasn't changed. Amon-Ra, CeeDee Lamb now going in behind McCaffrey. Taylor falling a little bit. We'll be looking at Bowers or better here, or maybe an A.J. Brown, something like that. I don't love A.J. Brown this end of the board so much because Drake May doesn't tend to fall, though we did see that happen in an earlier one. The video before this, the draft before this, where I ended up with Cook, Allen, DJ Moore, Higgins, Chase Brown, and Burrow was wild. Still might be my favorite team of the year so far. We ended up with all the Bills and the Bengals, and our team just looked insane. Our wide receiver room was a little weak from a blue chip perspective, but I think that team has legs, and that's absolutely the team that if in week 10, both the Bengals and the Bills are not playing each other, but if they both go hard, the Bengals are playing the Ravens. I think the Bills are playing the Dolphins in week 17. But if they both go off, that's the game for it. That's the game for it. So you could win 10,000 with that team, that's for sure, or at least win some money, right? There's plenty of placement prizes, and I always talk about winning the bid box because you want to win the bid box. But I mean, you're getting 7,000 for second, 6,000 for third, right? If you place in the top 10, you're winning 1,000 or more, and off a $3 buy-in, that's pretty good. This is a 20 entry match tournament, and we are up to I don't know how many entries at this point, quite a few. All right, if Henry goes here, we have our option and opportunity to take Brown, London, Bowers, Collins, or Pickens. I think I'm going to stick Bowers in behind McCaffrey here. I think that's totally fine. We'll probably grab a wide receiver here. We'll probably grab a running back here. We'll probably grab a wide receiver here, and we'll probably grab a quarterback here. That's probably how this is going to play out. But A.J. Brown is another fine click here. I'm heavy on Bowers this year. I have been saying I don't love the construction of my team when I take a Bowers, a McBride, or a Loveland in 2, 3, or 4 respectively, but we'll look to shore up and be a little more balanced as we move through this draft. Make sure that if we are going ahead and ripping a quarterback off here in round 6, that we at least have 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers to pair up with Bowers. I was going to say Malik Neighbors is somebody I'm interested in taking here. And the reason I'll say Malik, he goes right there, is McCaffrey could be the number 1 running back. Bowers probably will be the number 1 tight end. Neighbors could be, as long as he stays healthy and gets healthy and stays healthy, could be the number 1 receiver, and we would just have all the number 1s. Olave is sitting here on the board. He did just get the bag from the Saints, so like 4-year extension, I think. I didn't take a look at the details, but I saw that flash up. So we'll go ahead and take him. I'm not interested in Williams here, especially if taking McCaffrey. We can punt a little while longer. My other options between Flowers, Higgins, and McConkey, I would have taken Higgins and McConkey and Ibuka all above Flowers. So, yeah. Here we'll be looking for Javonte Williams or Cam Stadabu to fall. Typically, we can get one of them here, and then at 54, we'll be looking at... Well, actually, now that I say that, maybe we'll lean into like a Tet if we can get him to fall, or even a McLaurin or a Waddle or a Burden or an Evans, right? Evans, we can consolidate our bet on what's left of the San Francisco 49ers, and then try to grab DeAndre Swift on the turnaround, or a Henderson or a Tootin. That might be better because I think the range of wide receivers that go in there, the Devontae Adams, JMO's fine, but this range of wide receivers is a tier below what wide receivers we can jam here in the mid 40s. So we'll just kind of take a look at that positionally and see how we go. So nobody doing anything wild. Taylor Achane does opt in for Tyron Williams here, so they are going heavy, robust RB. We're obviously on more of a balanced approach through three here. It would be really hard to pass Stadaboo or Javonte Williams and just shore up our running back room with what I believe would be two top 10 running backs. Or Stadaboo and Javonte Williams both have top 10 potential. So we'll just kind of see how that goes. McLaurin going at the back end of the board over there. So Waddle and McLaurin already off the board, which is going to, I was about to say, is going to turn into a tremendous amount of running back value that's slipping. And I don't think I can pass Jacobs or Stadaboo for Mr. Evans. I mean, it is debatable. Obviously, we're not touching Loveland because we grabbed our boy Bowers, but yeah, I think I have to take Jacobs or Stadaboo here. I'm hoping Stadaboo falls. If both fall, I'm taking Stadaboo because it's just so overweight on him. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I don't love Jacobs. I really don't. You know what? Let's just grab Evans. I said that. I just something about Jacobs is just off to me this year. I'm not in for him as you know. Again I like the running backs here as my second option better than I like the receivers as my second option here. So I just Jacobs is a touchdown machine when he's healthy. I know he's having some off the field issues. It probably won't impact him this season. I just when Jacobs is healthy and producing, we still saw Emmanuel Wilson on the field sometime. You say, hey, Emmanuel Wilson's not there anymore. Yeah, that's what kind of scares me. So, like, what are they going to lean more into Jacobs when they've been going away from him? I'm not sure. I'm okay taking Mike Evans there, though. Again, now we're absolutely headhunting um, Purdy, and we'll look to grab Purdy. I think his ADP is right around 90. Let's take a look at where Purdy is. 96. So we should be able to pick him up here at 91, and then we'll grab another quarterback in the great wall of quarterbacks if we want. All right, so here probably going to lead into Quishon Judkins. Think he's in for a big year. I know that nobody who knows ball is hyped on the Cleveland offense. Quishon Judkins had flashes of greatness last year, and he is going to be the bell cow in that backfield. So to me, grabbing him as a second RB feels fine behind Christian McCaffrey. And yeah, you could say, well, there's still Carnell Tate, DJ Moore, and these receivers here, sure. But I think that, Marvin Harrison and Makai Lemon are not that far behind Jordan Tyson or Brian Thomas, right? So those other wide receivers, yeah, they're better, but how much better? And we already got Olave and Evans, and I'm feeling pretty good about that. We're going to headhunt Shock much later, too. His ADP is 123. He tends to actually go ahead of his ADP, so we'll probably take him at 115 here. So we'll look to grab two quarterbacks in here, which means that we have more positional optionality here at 67 and 78. At 67, there should be a good quarterback available to us, but I don't think in that range we have to take him. What we can look to do is take Parker Washington if we want, take a Marvin Harrison if we want, pull up a Tony Pollard if we want. We kind of have the optionality of doing all that, and that's cool. Now, if a Carnell Tate, Brian Thomas, Jordan Tyson fall to us, we'll lean into him. I'm not going to take Tyler Warren here after taking Bowers. I don't think that's a winning strategy. I think we do need to catch up at wide receiver and running back to have respectable rooms to pair with Bowers. And if we're going to take Purdy, we can headhunt Kittle after him. And if we take Shug, we could headhunt a Juwan Johnson. And I'm happy to have Kittle or Juwan Johnson as a second behind Bowers. And the other thing I've been doing with Bowers is in the very last round, taking a little bit of Mayer. Just in case Bowers gets injured. I think Mayer's whatever role Bowers is playing, Michael Mayer can almost certainly fill. And I'm not too convinced they're not going to come out of there with two sets. Here, I'm going to grab Tony Pollard. I'm going to actually pull him up a little bit. Because I think the wide receivers we'll see on the swing around between Sutton, Reed, Addison, and Godwin are all good. I don't have too much Marvin Harrison. I guess we could have looked at Makai Lemon there. I think he's going to have a good year. I have plenty of Quentin Johnson. Honestly, I have so much Quentin Johnson. It's silly. And I honestly liked this range of wide receivers, and we're going to get one of them. And to me, Tony Pollard is not that much different than a Rico Dowdle in that you're kind of going to get what you get out of them this year, and both have starting potential, and they're both in mediocre offenses. Although I think Tennessee's going to take a huge step forward this year, so feeling pretty good. I do want to headhunt a wide receiver here, almost no question. Need to get our third off the board before we get too far behind. And again, knowing that the back end of this round is so quarterback heavy, I wasn't too concerned about punting on any of the wide receivers. I'm out on DK Metcalf this year. I just think it's too likely that Bernard zaps his short passing yardage. The and DK Metcalf, what he does well is he goes over the top, right? And Rodgers is what 42, 43, somewhere in that range. How long is Rodgers going to be hanging out in the pocket trying to aim downfield while DK Metcalf gets that? I just don't see a lot of that. I see a lot more dink and dunk and a lot of more short yardage plays, and I just think that that's not Metcalf's game, and kind of gonna. I think Pittman's gonna get a lot of offense this year. There, I don't think DK Metcalf is. So I'll take him occasionally just to mix him in, but um, here I wow I get man if Quentin Johnson falls to us here. I was going to have to take him, but he didn't. Pierce, I know, is looking to start the year on the pup, so that is a little bit concerning. There's also Sutton or Reed. All right, I guess what we're going to do is take. Man, this is a tricky click. I guess we're going to take Pierce. All right. Yep, I guess we're going to take Pierce. He might miss a little bit at the beginning of the season. We're going to get plenty of receivers. We'll probably look to grab Downs as well. Let me look at Downs' ADP. So Downs is going right by Brock Purdy. What is more important to our staff, Purdy or Downs? It's probably Purdy, to be completely honest with you. So we'll just have to kind of evaluate that as it goes. But we can grab Pittman or a Michael Wilson or a Jacoby Myers on the turnaround and say, hey, you got to fill in a couple of weeks and pick up the slack for our boy Pierce as he's out for a little bit. I think that's fine. I didn't want to reach down and pull Addison up. I don't see any reason to do that. If Pierce can get healthy, I think he's going to perform very well with the vacated targets from Pittman. And, Downs is a great receiver. Don't get me wrong. He's a phenomenal receiver. But Alec Pierce is better. Is much better. So, yeah, I think that's the right way to go there. And I think we do want Purdy, especially sitting there with Mike Evans and McCaffrey. We'll grab Stribling later. We're going to bring Stribling way up. He looks like he's going to be the number two option in that receiving game. And honestly, if Mike Evans was to get hurt again, he could be the number one receiving option on that team. Which, if that happens, do the San Francisco 49ers go back and re-sign Deebo Samuel and bring him back in? I don't know. Do they go get a Stephon Diggs, right? Like Deebo Samuel and Stephon Diggs are both one marquee injury, wide receiver injury away from getting a team. And I think they know that. Wow, dude, Sutton and Reed are still on the board, and I was considering these guys. Back where I was. So I don't think they're going to make it much further down, but that would be pretty wild work if they did. Purdy's at 96. So Purdy actually tucks in down here. Um, they have two quarterbacks. Do we get greedy here? Is the question. So the question here is if it gets to us and there really is a player we like, well, they're all going now. Do we get greedy on that? And I guess we're not done. I guess we're not done. I mean, Sutton, how do we pass on Sutton here? If he does one more spot, man, I almost have to get greedy. I almost have to take Cortland Sutton. I'm gonna have to get greedy here. I'm gonna take Cortland Sutton. I'm gonna hope Brock Purdy wheels. If he doesn't, it's gonna suck not to have him with Mike Evans, especially considering we're gonna target Stribling. But that's fine. I just think Sutton falling. I mean, I don't know, 8 spots or 9 spots past ADP there at 91 is just too good. Too good to pass. Too good to pass. Also, he's got two quarterbacks. Everybody else has one. I don't know if anybody necessarily wants Purdy, right? Nakua's incentivized to take Stafford. So I think maybe. Oh, this is a pretty good stack here, double stack, right? They got Loveland with Williams and Hurts with Smith. That's pretty good. But if Purdy gets snapped off, okay. Oh well, we can then pick up Bo Nix maybe. Did Bo Nix go? Purdy goes. I was gonna say did Bo Nix go? We can pick up Bo Nix and stack him in with Cortland Sutton and still pick up Shug later and feel pretty good. We do need to pick up a quarterback here though, and I guess maybe we wanted Purdy and then we would have gotten Jacoby Myers. I guess that would have been fine. There's Jackson Dart on the board too. Ugh. As much as I like Knicks, I'm not passing dart here. And now likely is highly likely to be on our team. Where does likely go? Likely goes at 129. Okay. So we'll have to, if we're going to take Shug as our second player, we're going to have to sort of navigate this with a little bit of nuance. So Shug and likely go in the same range. So we'll have to pull one of them up. And I actually am okay with doing that. But I think likely and Bowers is sick, and having Dart stacked with likely, I think, is going to be a sneaky cheat code. And having Sutton there as our wide receiver four was just too enticing over grabbing Purdy. Yeah, and I'll still look at Stribling later. I just that was way too enticing. Just is what it is, and I think there's no question that we get Shug. There's still a tremendous amount of quarterbacks on the board, and again, I will pull Shug up though. I think that likely is after the ADP of 126 that we're going to be at, and Shug just tends to go. But now they have two quarterbacks. They have two quarterbacks. Yeah, any one of these guys could be looking at Shug, and we just want to make sure we get him as long as provided he doesn't go off the board here. Okay, is anybody crazy? Wow, yeah, I see a crazy team. I wasn't looking here, but Taylor, Achane, Williams, and Irving. So five running backs straight. Then they go Tyson, Reed, and Myers with Herbert. I I mean that's an insane running back room. I don't know what their wide receiver room's going to look like, but that's just insane. Man, if they stopped at Javonte Williams, that still would have been insane, and they could have started their room with a Dunze or Moore or Thomas or Tate. I think I just that's wild work. Okay, a bunch of quarterbacks go off the board. So yeah, we're gonna reach down and pull up our boy Shark here for sure when it gets to us. I I've said this many times in drafts. I think there is a tangible teardrop after Concepcion, tangible teardrop after Concepcion, and I really would like to have Jordan Mason, Romeo Dobbs, or Concepcion. But I don't think after we missed quarterback earlier, I don't think we can really pass Tyler Shug here, and I have no intentions of doing so. So I would like likely, but honestly, if any of these guys wheel, which they probably won't, but if Jordan Mason, Romeo Dobbs, or Concepcion wheel, I'm gonna not take likely, and I'm gonna grab one of them. C Rod is okay, but just okay. We're going to look to grab Dylan Sampson later, I think, with this stack. I think that made sense to have Dylan Sampson partnered with Judkins. So that will be our fourth running back. And with these three guys, we're probably going five running back. We are going to stick with two tight ends, especially if we get likely, so that we'll open one roster spot to either jam in a sixth running back or an eighth wide receiver. And right now, I'll probably be leaning into eighth wide receiver, given the fact that we're going to pass wide receiver here, and that teardrop off is pronounced as they get. Highly likely we end up with Jalen McMillan because I tend to pull him up a full round or just be willing to reach down on him once you get into this quagmire of Okonkwo, Hunter, Darnold, Mark Stroud. I just think McMillan's in for some big weeks this year, and that's exactly what you want on a team like this. It will be interesting to see how far and hard Parasol's draft capital goes down or ADP goes down, especially considering, man, this guy has just not been healthy his entire career. He had the tragic gunshot incident, and then I think he tore whatever he tore, something, and now he's got swelling in his knee. And if he is in for surgery in July or surgery in August, there's no way this guy's starting the year, and there might be no way he's playing this year. So I just am not touching him anymore. I'm still happy to grab McCaffrey, and obviously it makes me even more inclined to grab Evans. Purdy is definitely going to be a miss on this team, unfortunately, but it's not mission critical. Dart and Shugger, I have Shug really highly rated this year. Dart's fine, and we'll grab a third. We'll grab a third QB. So, all right, at 139, we're back on the clock. We'll probably grab McMillan here. There's also Daniel Jones, which I think is a fine third quarterback. I don't really want worse than him. We could play the game with Aaron Rodgers and Freiermuth, but we already have our two tight ends, and I don't think I really want to do that. So we could go like Aaron Rodgers and Jeremy Bernard. That could be an option. So Malik Willis, Cam Ward are fine. I prefer Cam Ward to be stacked, and we don't really have that. I think we do need to pick up our our fifth wide receiver here, and we are, I don't want to say falling behind at running back, but running back is up consideration as well. So when it makes it back to us, if like a Keaton Mitchell or Jalen McMillan are available, Jalen McMillan should be available, but even like a Woody Marks are available, I probably have to click into them before I consider quarterback. So I think here we are trying to navigate the guts of this team through the middle of this draft, and we're sitting there with Bowers, and we're finding ourselves behind. This happens to me. I mean, likely maybe you could have argued we didn't need to click likely in there, but I just think he's the best stack with Dart you have, besides Neighbors, and again, provided Neighbors that's healthy and plays right. So here we are. This is just the situation I find myself in when I drafted Bowers. I'm just one player light. And now you say, yeah, but you have Bowers in your tight end slot. 100%. No questions. Actually, considering that, maybe we do say, don't worry about Daniel Jones. Don't worry about Willis. Let's just grab Fernando Mendoza. I know Kirk Cousins is going to start, but wow, Pearsall dropping all the way down to 140 off of one. He's tainted. Let's say Keaton Mitchell here. I like Jalen McMillan. I have a ton of them, but I think Mitchell's going to have relevance in that backfield, and I think that grabbing him is a good call. Now, if McMillan wheels to us, heck yeah. If he doesn't, we'll look at Naylor, especially if we're going to grab Mendoza. Where does Mendoza go? Mendoza goes at 179. And where do we sit in relation to that? 163 and 174. So we can get him somewhere down here. That's fine. So let's grab a wide receiver here. Again, given that we're going to try to target McMillan, I feel completely fine with either Tucker or Naylor as a secondary stacking option. And Jawan Jennings and Jalen McMillan are totally fine. So, like, I'm happy with any of these receivers. Hopefully, one of them makes him back. I don't have much Boston this year, but I am pretty high on him. I think he's going to be good. There's also Juwan Johnson that we could stack with Shug. We're not going to do that. I don't think you're supposed to go three tight ends when you have Brock Bowers, and if you do, I think Michael Mayer in the final round is what you do there. And so maybe that's what we'll do. And we'll stay with a traditional, 3-5-7-3. I think he's a better click in that round than a lot of the others. Now, I think I would typically do Juwan Jennings here, but the projections between these guys is pretty close. Jennings is higher projected, but I am looking to, what's the bye week situation? Bye 13, bye 6. All right, let's look at Jennings. Even though we're looking to headhunt Mendoza, I don't want to get an extra bye week that's the same with Trey Tucker there, 13 on Pierce. I think what we're going to need is as many of these guys playing per week as we possibly get, especially considering Olave and Evans share a bye week, which I didn't realize that until just this minute. All good. All right, so we do have 5 receivers. We are going to go up to at least 7 or 8 unless we grab Michael Mayer behind Bowers. We're going to look to grab Fernando Mendoza on the next spin around. And running back wise, I think we'll look to grab Dylan Sampson too. So that's kind of where we're at with this draft. We do want to grab, like I said, a third quarterback. I think Mendoza's fine when we've got Bowers. I mean, you honestly could grab Kirk Cousins too. I just think that offense is Mendoza's to command, and Mendoza is going to get playing time this year. And by the end of the year, he'll be piloting that offense. I think we know what Kirk Cousins is. Kirk Cousins is fine, but he's not the future. And I think the minute you either get to a situation where the Raiders are not performing the way that they need to, or they're kind of, waddled out of playoff contention, Mendoza steps in and they start getting him meaningful reps. And I think that's what they got to, honestly, I think that's what they got to do, especially if they want any shot. Dude, Parasol, nobody's touching him. He's 60 spots behind ADP right now. Man, his ADP has done a tank overnight. So I guess, again, that's where, right, if we're dropping him, Stribling should be going higher. And it looks like, oh, wow. Stribling's already off the board. I don't know where he went, but he's already off the board. So, all right, it's a new day. It is a new day. All right, here, I was going to say Dylan Sampson, but Algier's still on the board. I'm going to actually grab Algier. I think he gets meaningful work there. Sampson, I guess I'm interested in, but Algier is just, I think he's a good collect. I think he's a really good collect. And I will take Mendoza on the turnaround. It's totally fine. I don't care about any of these receivers. Zachariah Branch is probably who I'm most interested in, but we'll be fine. We'll get somebody serviceable on the back end. And yeah, because we still need two more wide receivers. We need our third quarterback. We need two more wide receivers at a minimum, and then we're going to decide what we want to do with our final pick. We could opt into a Michael Mayer. We can opt into another receiver. We can opt in even to a sixth running back if we want. I don't think we need to do that. We only need one of these guys per week on top of Christian McCaffrey to show up. And as I've said before, if McCaffrey goes down, for example, this team is over. That's it. So I'm not really worried about it from a well, we want to have some balance around McCaffrey. No, you don't. Not in best ball. If McCaffrey goes down, we don't win 10 grand. So, right. And we're lightweight on him anyway, so I'm not really super concerned. It's like if this guy's gonna carry us to the promised land, carry away, bro. Carry away, right? Now, I think I probably would have wanted a second better running back. To pair with him. But that second better running back is Brock Bowers. So there's that. And we do have Shud stacked with Olave, so we do have a stack there. And we've got likely stacked up with Dart, which is pretty good. So, all right. So we're up for two more wide receivers and then one more of something. And we'll see what that is. For us in ADP range at 187, 198, which is where we're going, the wide receivers look like Dontavian Wicks and Tank Dell. And I'm not touching Calvin Ridley. Anybody who's had Calvin Ridley on their fantasy football squad the last 2 years in a row knows why I'm not touching him. He's a non-factor almost. We could look to do Mooney, but I don't know if we want to do that. Yeah, he stacks in with Dart, and he could get some play time. Maybe he develops chemistry. Maybe that's a good pick. I just think Neighbors is going to get healthy. Neighbors is going to play, and Neighbors is going to get a ton of targets, and so is Likely. So I don't know how much meat on the bone there is for Mooney later in the season. I like Branch. Malik Washington's fine, I suppose. Dontavian Wicks and Dell are both fine as well. So we'll get one of those guys on the turnaround, whatever. And then, like I said, in the final round, we'll evaluate what our eighth receiver or Michael Mayer looks like. And go for there. Looks like we're going to get Branch or Washington. I mean, if we don't, that's fine. We'll just reach down and grab Wicks. They're all the same guy. This is all the same dude. I guess Wicks is projected for a heck of a lot less points. Okay, great. So we get one of these two. I don't know how much these projections actually mean in reality, but you know, it's at least something to look at. So we'll tuck Zachariah Branch in here as our sixth receiver. And then, I like our team. I just feel really weak at wide receiver. And I feel kind of weak at tight end. Or sorry, at running back. And I feel kind of weak at quarterback, even though I feel great at tight end. So, yeah, I mean, maybe I should change what I just said. I don't know if I love our squad or not. It doesn't feel blue chip. Our last draft where we got the Bengals and the Bills across the board, that felt blue chip. That was like I'm looking at that squad going, this squad can win money. I don't think the squad can win money. Well, we'll see. It is dissimilar from a lot of squads I draft. I'm typically way heavier at running back, and I typically don't have this smattering of names at wide receiver, so maybe just not used to looking at the names, and that could be something. So here, if I wasn't to go Darnell Mooney, I almost certainly want another wide receiver as well. Because I just don't think we're going to get production from him late. So, but if Dontavian Wicks does make it back here, I guess he's the click, right? Almost certainly the click. And I'm not going to handcuff McCaffrey to Jordan James or Taylor Black. I just again, don't think that matters. So, man. All right, I guess we'll click in Mooney, which means we're probably not going Mayer in the last round. We'll probably go up to 8 receivers here. And in the last round, we're going to be looking at, Coleman or Thornton, Franklin or Noel. Hopefully, we're not down here. Maybe Malachi Fields. I think I don't know. I think that's a reach. I think that's absolutely a reach over some of these other guys, right? Like Hurst in that offense, I think is better. Bryant. Um, although I don't know. Maybe Malachi Fields is a clickable name here for sure, right? Um, Kurt's dealing with a calf injury. Pearsall's got swelling in his knee. Mike Evans is healthy for now, but obviously we know Michael Evans is at the tail end of his career. So I don't know, kind of interesting. And then you got Michael Mayer down here as well, and it's like that's what I'm trying to say is like what what is one of these guys going to do for us besides fill in maybe a meaningful week that like Mayer doesn't potentially do for us by also being just a complete badass and filling in for Bowers if he gets hurt and maybe still floating this team along. Man, I think I'm talking myself into it. Or they actually are running two tight end sets and you get some crazy production out of Mayer anyway. Mayer's phenomenally talented. Yeah. And yeah, it's so funny I say that. Could benefit from a two tight end offense. I mean, yeah, he really could. And I could see them running that type of steam. So yeah, man, forget it. If he doesn't go, we're gonna click in Mayer behind Bowers and just say, hey, this is our squad. I don't think the squad's winning any money, but maybe I'll be shocked at the end of the season and be like, this was it. This was the one. Olave has a career year. Evans has a renaissance year. Pierce gets healthy and fires on all cylinders. Jackson Dart's a top 5 QB. Tyler Shudd is a top 10 QB. And Bowers does what Bowers does. That's how you win money, right? It's highly unlikely. Could happen, I suppose. I have drafted a ton of these. I didn't hit the 20 entry max, but I have drafted a ton of these. I feel good about the portfolio that I have of these. This is almost certainly going to close tonight. We are going headlong into fantasy football season here, so um, I am really looking for some super flex drafts to come back. Hoping we get like a field general back in this lobby, and I will jam the heck out of those as we go and feel pretty good about it. So if we look across the board, the 5 running back team wound up with Tyson, Reed, Myers, Wandell Robinson, Herbert at quarterback, and Malik Willis. No. This team is no way. So unbalanced. Great running back room, but so unbalanced. Everybody else kind of obeyed the rules. Nakua, London, Neighbors, Wilson, JMO goes into Burrow, Lemon, gets RJ Harvey as their first running back, gets Mason and Jones, so they have all of that backfield. Bigsby, yeah, they're so light at running back, it's wild. This team is wild. They are so light at running back. Yeah, no, that doesn't work. Absolutely does not work. We're on the clock. We're clicking Mayor. We'll take a look at some other teams here. The one spot went Gibbs, Rice, McBride, Montgomery, Adams, Mahomes. Then gets Harrison, Brooks, Purdy, Hayden, Shakir, McMillan, Hunter, Sampson, Black, Johnson, Davis. They got all the handcuffs down here. This team went all handcuffs. Gibbs and Montgomery to produce. Brooks just in case, and then got a gajillion handcuffs. I mean, okay, it's one way to do it. The team down here with Genty Barkley, then went Higgins, McMillan, Jackson, Tate, Kraft, picked up Dowdle, like Dowdle in that mix, like Rodriguez in that mix. Gets Love, Ward, ugh. Oh, they have Jackson. Excuse me, Jackson, Love, Ward is fine. How about Bo Nix and Murray? Did they pick any others up? No, Bo Nix and Murray that's too thin. I don't think if you're gonna go those two guys, I don't think you can go double QB or just double QB. The Allen player, the Cook Hampton, McConkey Allen player, then gets a Dunze, Thomas, Addison, Downs, White, Goff, Shaheed, Goddard, Pacheco, such a bad click. Flournoy, Barner, Fryermuth. Yeah, they only have Goff and Allen. I suppose that's okay. Yeah, so our final team wound up Jackson Dart, Tyler Shaw, Fernando Mendoza, at running back, we got McCaffrey, Judkins, Pollard, Mitchell, and Algier. At wide receiver, we have Olave, Evans, Pierce, Sutton, Jennings, Branch, and Mooney. And at tight end, we have Bowers, Likely, and tight end 3 as Mayor. Don't know. What do you guys think? Draft day. I give it like a C. Maybe a C minus. I think it's just fine. Thank you guys for checking out the video. Thank you for checking out the channel. If you like it, please hit the like and subscribe button. We're going to draft and post every single day up till the season starts. Yeah, and I appreciate you checking it out. See y'all in the next one.